Today we'll be learning how to solve quadratic equations using the method of factorization. The general form of a quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. A is equal to the coefficient of x squared, b is equal to the coefficient of x, and c is the constant term. Now we must be able to recognize what a, b, and c is in any quadratic expression or equation. So for example, in this quadratic equation, we have x squared plus 7x plus 10. I must be able to recognize what a is. So a is the coefficient of x squared. So the coefficient is the term in front of x squared. What is understood in front of x squared? 1. So therefore a is equal to 1 and positive 1. B is going to be the coefficient of x, which is going to be 7. What is going to be c? The constant term, 10. Another example here, we have minus 4x squared minus 4x plus 1 is equal to 0. What is going to be a? A is going to be minus 4, b is going to be minus 4, and c is going to be positive 1. X squared plus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. Now when we are factorizing quadratic expressions, we are going to express our answers as a product of two binomials. So we're going to write our answers in two brackets, using two brackets. What is going to give us x squared? X multiplied by x. The next thing we need to ask ourselves is for c, what can we multiply to give us 10 and then add and subtract to give us 7? Pay attention to the note I have here on the right hand side. So we want to write down all the factors of 10. What will give us 10? And then we want to select the factors that we could add and subtract to give us 7x and positive 7x. We have 10 by 1. 10 by 1 will give us 10, but could we add or subtract 10 and 1 to give us 7? No. So let's try 5 and 2. 5 2s are 10. Could we add or subtract 5 and 2 to give us 7? Yes, we can. So we would use 5 and 2. Now the next thing you need to think about is what signs would you put in your brackets? Do I put negative signs, a negative and a positive, or two positive signs? Well, I want to get positive 7x. So I'm going to show you a short technique that I use to determine the signs. We're going to cross multiply. X by 2 will give me 2x. And 5 by x will give me 5x. Now I have to decide what signs do I need to put here so that I can get 7x. So I need to add. So 2x plus 5x is going to give us 7x. Remember in algebra, you can add and subtract like terms. We have 2x and 5x, and that is giving us positive 7x. So it means that in our brackets, we are going to have positive signs. Now, this is an equation, so we are required to solve. That means we have to equal what we have in both brackets to 0. So x plus 5 equal to 0, and I have to solve for x. Leave everything that has x on one side and take everything that doesn't have x on the other side. So x is going to be equal to minus 5. The next bracket we have is x plus 2 is equal to 0. Leave everything that has x on one side and take everything that does not have x on the other side. So you're getting x to be minus 2. So x is minus 5 and x is minus 2. Let's do another example. We have x squared minus 13x minus 30 is equal to 0. So what can we multiply to give us x squared? It's going to be x multiplied by x. Now I'm going to ask myself, what can I multiply to give me 30 and then add and subtract to give me minus 13? So we want to list all the factors and decide which one we should use. So 30 by 1 will give us 30, but I cannot add or subtract 30 and 1 to give me 13. So we're going to try 10 times 3. 10 times 3 will give us 30. And when we add and subtract it, we can't get 13. So we're going to use 10 and 3. Now we have to decide the signs that we have to use. So we're going to cross multiply, write our numbers down to work out our signs. X times 3 is going to give us 3x. and 10 by x is going to give us 10x. Now this line that I'm writing here doesn't have to stay here. This is just for your calculation purposes. You can remove it after or do your working to decide. Okay, what can I do to 3 and 10 to give us minus 13? Now if I put an addition sign here, I'll get positive 13. We don't want positive 13. We need negative 13. So what we can do is use two negative signs. Minus 3x minus 10x is going to give us minus 13. Why? What is your rule? You need to recall your rules. When you have the same signs, you add. Our larger digit is negative, it's 10. Our answer is going to be minus 13. Now it's equal to 0, so we need to solve. X minus 10 is equal to 0. I leave everything that has x on one side, take everything that doesn't have x on the other side. It's going to be x is equal to positive 10. The next bracket, I'm going to have x minus 3 is equal to 0. Leave everything that has x on one side, take everything that does not have x on the other side. So it's going to be x is equal to positive 3. Now this one is our challenge question. As you can see, we don't have 1 as our coefficient in front of x squared, but we have 2. So let's write our brackets. What can we multiply to give us 2x squared? 2x by x. Then the next question is, what two numbers can I multiply to give me 21 and then add and subtract to give us 17, minus 17? Now we need to take note that we also have a 2 on the other side. So let's see how it would go. We'll use 7 by 3. Let's cross multiply. We're going to get 2x by 3. That's going to give us 6x. And then we have 7 by x is going to give us 7x. Now could we add or subtract these numbers to give us minus 17? No, we cannot. So the way in which I have it is not working. But what we want to do is switch things around before we change the factors. Let's write the 3 on top and let's write the 7 under. Yes, it involves trial and error. So we have 2x by 7, that's going to give us 14x. And then we have 3 by x, so that is going to give us 3x. Now could I add or subtract these numbers to give me 17? Yes. What signs are we going to use? Because we need minus 17x. So we can use minus 14x and minus 3x. Remember, when we have the same signs, we add. 14 plus 3 is 17. So we're going to write negative signs in our brackets. Our final step will be to solve. We have 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. And we're going to solve. Leave everything that has x on one side and take everything that doesn't have x on the other side. This 2 is multiplied to this x, so to remove it, I'll have to divide by 2 throughout. So x is going to be equal to 3 over 2, which can be reduced to 1.5. 2 into 3 is 1 with a remainder of 1 over 2. Our next brackets, we have x minus 7. We're going to leave everything that has x on one side and take everything that does not have x on the other side. So it's going to be x is equal to positive 7. So we're getting x is equal to 1.5 and x is equal to 7. So this is how we solve quadratics by factorization.